Hello everyone, welcome to this session. Our chapter is transportation of materials in living things. So far in our previous video, we discussed about the various parts of the human heart, as heart is the main organ that helps to carry the blood, oxygenated and deoxygenated blood, respectively to their various parts. So today let's move on to the other part whereby we will discuss about the blood circulatory system. So I think also heart can be involved in this blood circulatory system. So we'll discuss further in detail about the blood specifically. So in this session, we'll start with the blood vessels. So to start with the introduction to this, the blood vessels are just intricate networks of hollow tubes that help or they transport blood throughout the entire body. So the blood vessels are just those intricate networks or connections of these various hollow tubes, which we call them as these the blood vessels that they just transport or they carry the blood throughout the entire body. Now, this is an essential function as blood delivers valuable nutrients to and removes waste from our cells. So this the blood vessels is there as is very important just to help to carry the blood that it delivers the valuable nutrients required for the body, and also it helps to remove the waste from the other cells. So the blood vessels help to carry this blood from throughout the entire body. Now, the blood vessels are constructed of layers of connective tissues and muscles. Now, the inner blood vessel layer is what is formed of the endothelium, and in endothelium. When you talk about these capillaries and the sinusoids, endothelium comprises the majority of the vessel. There are three types of blood vessels. So these are the blood vessels which we are going to discuss, namely the arteries, the veins, and the capillaries. So these are the main blood vessels that are in our bodies that help to carry the blood throughout the entire body. Each of these vessels, they have different functions and different structures. So let's see the structure of all these blood vessels, the structure of the arteries, the veins, and the capillaries. Now we'll start with the basic structure for all of them. In terms of the capillaries, they consist of the endothelium, which it is only one cell thick. Walls of the arteries and the veins, simply they consist of the three layers. So only capillaries, they consist of this endothelium, which is of one cell thick, while the walls of the arteries and the veins, they consist of the three layers. The inner layer of these veins and the arteries consists of a thin layer of endothelial cells. The middle layer is made up of the smooth muscle with some elastic fibers, and also this is the layer that controls the diameter of the vessel, and hence the amount of blood and its rate of flow. So that's how it is. This is the layer that is responsible for enabling the diameter of the vessel. That knowing the diameter of the vessel, it will hence the amount of the blood that can flow and the rate at which the blood can flow. Now, the outer layer is what composed of the connective tissues. This holds the blood vessels in place in the body. So that's the basic structure of all the arteries, veins, and the capillaries. Now let's see the detailed structure. So here we'll dive in details more of these blood vessels, starting with the arteries. The walls of the arteries are much thicker as it carries blood away from the heart at high pressure. We've discussed about the heart. We saw that there are these blood vessels that carry the blood away from the heart. Uh, Either towards the lungs or towards the entire body. Now, the arteries are the ones that are responsible for carrying the blood away from the heart. Now, that's why the walls of the arteries are just much thicker as compared to the other blood vessels, as since they carry blood away from the heart at high pressure. Also, the major arteries, they close to the heart, also have thicker layers of smooth muscle in their walls to withstand the increases in the pressure as the heart pumps. So that's the other feature or how the arteries are structured. The walls also have a large proportion of the elastic fibers in both the inner and the middle layers. This it enables or it allows for the arteries to stretch accordingly to the increases of in the volume of the blood. So that's how the walls of these arteries are made. They are of a large portion of elastic fibers in a way that they enable them to stretch just according to the increases in the volume of blood and according to the pressure applied. As the blood at the heart relaxes, the artery walls they return to their original position, hence pushing the blood along, maintaining a constant flow in one direction. Now the arteries are just near the surface of the skin. The changes in the arteries diameter, it can be felt as a pulse. So these arteries are just located just near the surface of the skin, and you can just feel them as the changes in just the diameter of these can just be felt as a pulse. When you try to check a pulse of a person, just what you're checking there are the arteries. So that's all about the arteries. Moving on, let's see the structure of the veins. The walls of the veins are just thinner than the walls of the arteries, as the blood they receive from the capillaries is at much lower pressure. So basically, the veins are the ones that receive the blood from the capillaries. The walls have fewer elastic fibers, and the lumen is wider, just to allow for the easier blood flow. Also, the veins have two mechanisms for keeping the blood flow constant and in one direction. First of the mechanism that many veins are just close to muscles. Hence, when the muscles contract, they compress the walls of the vein, thereby or therefore pumping the blood forwards. The veins also have the valves, which are just spaced along the regular intervals in the veins. And they work as much as one-way swinging doors, as they just allow the blood to flow in one direction. So as the blood is forced through the valve, also it opens. So that's how the veins, how they work and how they are structured. However, once the pressure drops and the blood flows decreases, also the valves of these veins they shut just to prevent the backflow of the blood. So specifically, you might observe that in the veins there are these valves, just helps to control the flow of blood in one direction. Now let's see the structure of the capillaries. They are extremely tiny microscopic vessels that bring blood into close contact with the tissues, just for the exchange of the chemical substances between the cells and the bloodstream. So that's the structure of the capillaries. That's the basic structure of these capillaries. They are just extremely tiny microscopic. These vessels they just bring the blood into close contact with the tissues, just for the exchange of the chemical substances that are there between the cells and the bloodstream. Then the one cell thick endothelial layer is a continuation of the luminary arteries and the veins. The diffusion is a relatively slow process, and hence the structure of the capillaries is suited for the slowing down the flow of the blood. So basically, the diffusion process is the one that takes place within the capillaries. In order to maximize the exchange of the substances between the blood and the cells, the capillaries they have thin walls just for more efficient diffusion, a small lumen that forces the blood cells just to pass through in single file, slowing down the rate of flow and maximizing the exposed surface area. Now, they form an expansive blood flow network, such that no cells are far from the blood supply. So that's simply about the capillaries. Now, let's see the structure of all these three blood vessels. The structure of the arteries, veins, and the capillaries. So here are the diagrams of it. They are the labeled diagrams of all the arteries, veins, and the capillaries. So when you see here, these arteries. So arteries, they have these kinds of layers, and their diameter it looks like this, almost it's less than 18 mm. That's the outer, and the various parts here are labeled. They are smooth muscles, the endothelial cells, and the elastin and the collagen are also these parts or layers of of these arteries. Then we have the veins. The veins, as you can see, they have huge diameter, 30 mm. Here we're talking about the vena cava. So this is the example of the vein. Now the various parts are labeled here. You can see the smooth muscle, the endothelial cells are also there, and also the elastin and the collagen are also there. Then when we see the capillaries are just very tiny, as we said. So they just have these endothelial cells. So that's all about the various blood vessels. talking about the arteries, veins, and the capillaries. So that's all right for this session. I've seen the blood vessels as part of the blood circulatory system. Previously, we discussed about the heart. So this session, I've seen the these blood vessels, their basic structure and their detailed structure, how they are made, and we've seen the label diagrams of all this. So I hope that's all clear, and thank you.